Batman has been featured in several animated series over the years, many of which are quite remarkable. At the forefront is the gold standard, Batman, the animated series, which played a pivotal role in shaping the character for modern audiences. Then there's Brave and the Bold, which pays homage to the Silver and Golden Age comics featuring the Dark Knight. My personal favorite is the 2004 series, which emphasizes action-packed sequences and striking anime-inspired visuals within Batman's universe. Let's not overlook Beware the Batman, a show that took a distinct approach from its predecessors. It was the first animated show to embrace 3D animation and attempted to introduce fans to some of Batman's lesser-known characters, like Professor Pig and Magpie, who casual viewers might not have been familiar with. So given that Batman is very well represented in animation, you may be surprised that Cartoon Network wanted another animated Batman cartoon after Beware. But after 1 week into production, they decided to make it a Justice League cartoon instead, and they called it Justice League Action. However, because it began as a Batman-focused project, episodes tended to lean heavily on the Cape Crusader. He was often the core anchor in the story and frequently teamed up with a rotating cast of different DC characters. Needless to say, I really liked the show and how they handled Batman. I think the show really respected Batman and made some really great choices with him. In the spirit of the show's origins, I'm going to be talking about how Justice League Action handled the Dark Knight, the good, the not so good, and everything in between. Right off the bat, forgive the pun, I think they handled the comedy in the show very well, especially in the scenes that involve Batman. He's not a very jokey character, so you can't easily have him cracking jokes. He's a much more serious character who focuses on his work, but that makes him a perfect straight man. When Batman is paired with more humorous characters like Nightwing or Alfred, their jokes land harder because of his lack of reaction, and when he does make jokes, it's usually a dark and dry sense of humor. Typically, when other adaptations add comedy to Batman, they go for more of a parody-based approach. DC superhero girls went the route of making fun of Batman's voice, specifically the Kristen Bale Batman voice, where you can't understand him at all. Of course, I can't forget the Lego Batman version of the character, which is just a full-on parody, making countless references to other Batman media. These approaches aren't bad, and I do like what these adaptations do, except for Teen Titans Go. I don't know, they just have him laughing all the time. I don't get it. What's so funny, man? Why are you laughing? Although I did think that the B-Test one was pretty funny with Kevin Conroy. But I think Justice League Action did it the best. They don't use one type of gag for Batman. They go for a variety when it comes to him. Most of the time, the humor comes from him remaining composed, while those around him say and do silly things. On other occasions, he is placed in impossible situations, like his mind being switched around and he has to deal with the emotions of a teenage girl, or having his personality split apart, and we get this blue, compassionate version of Batman fighting against this angry red version of Batman. I would say the people writing this were having fun crafting comedic moments for Batman, but I don't think it would have worked well without a certain actor delivering them. As we all know, Kevin Conroy is the definitive voice of a Batman. You know it, I know it, even my dog knows it. He voiced the character for over 30 years, and this was one of the few times he got to play Batman in this comedic way. Now, he has done some comedic projects in the past, like the Tales from Metropolis short a long time ago, but he usually plays other characters who are parodies of Batman. The first that comes to my mind is the Stinger from the Tober Fast series.
The Guardian in the shadows. I am justice. I am the...
You're the Stinger!
Don't interrupt me.
But this was the first proper funny Batman project that Kevin did. According to producer Jim Craig, this was the most fun Kevin Conroy had while voicing the character.
But I will tell you this, they both loved it. That I don't know... I don't think I ever got a sense from the fans that they were mad that this was a kind of a jokey Batman, because his character stayed the same, but he did get to deliver a lot of comedy.
Yeah.
And Kevin was really funny, and he really liked doing it.
This is bold of me to say, but this is my favorite of Kevin's roles alongside Arkham Knight and Justice League Unlimited. I think they handled the comedy well, and it felt really true to the character. It's easy to make fun of Batman and have the jokes come off as dismissive of the character, but that never happened here. Now, time for something that I wasn't so keen on. I'm not too sure about the design they went with. I don't think it's terrible, nor do I think it's bad, but I wouldn't say it's great. I mean, there are things that I really do enjoy about the suit. I like that they gave him the claws again, very 2004 vibes for me, which I love. The cowl piece, I think it's generally good, which is odd because I generally don't like short ears on Batman, but here it works for me. The cape over the shoulders is another point for me, and of course, I love the added blue highlights on him. Huge BTAS vibes with those blue highlights, which I think is just peak Batman. But that's pretty much all I like about the design. Everything else just doesn't mesh well for me. I think it has to do with the symbol and the utility belt. I don't quite like the design of the chest logo, and I don't like the gaps between the compartments on the utility belt. I prefer it to be all connected. To demonstrate, take a look at this edit I made of the costume. Sure, I'm biased, but I think it looks way better. I also did some variations of it, like the yellow belt and the yellow outline on the logo. Also, I made a version of it with the trunks because that's another common complaint about the costume. I don't hate this design, it's decent, but I don't love it. It is worth noting that artist Mark Silvestri seems to be a fan of it because he used this design in the Batman and Joker, the Deadly Duo comic, which I highly recommend reading. I completely acknowledge that this is a very specific complaint, and at the very end of the day, it's pretty minor. That's why I really enjoy the portrayal of Batman in Justice League Action. I appreciate how the character is written, and the show's action sequences are top-notch. Batman utilizes a wide array of gadgets that really stand out, from his classic tools like the Batarang, smoke bombs, and the grapnel gun, to lesser-known devices, such as his gauntlet that heats up, and those nifty little bat attachment he employs against zombies. There's always something exciting in his arsenal. If I had one complaint about the writing, I say that I wish they had shown off more of Batman's supporting cast, like the Bat Family or Alfred Pennyworth, but they're mostly absent. All we get is a couple of name drops and a Gordon cameo where he doesn't say anything. Okay, Gordon.
But anyway, that's going to be the end of this video. I want to thank you so much for watching near the end. It really helps out the video's performance. But as always, let me know what you think about Justice League Action's Batman. Did you like him? Did you not? Did you think the comedy was funny at all? I thought the comedy was funny. I thought it was hilarious. Also, be sure to hit the subscribe button down below. I'm trying to hit 3,000 in the next month or so, and I'm really close to it. So yeah, be sure to hit the subscribe button down below. Before I go, if you want to hear my thoughts about Nightfall, I'm excited. I can't wait to watch that trilogy. I think it looks really promising. I like how they just took Kelly Jones' art and based models on that. I think that's really great. And for Cape Crusader Season 2, I think it looks good. I think it's much more exciting than Season 1. I don't know. I am really excited for Season 2 for Cape Crusader. I can't wait to watch that. But yeah, appreciate the support. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you when I can get back. Okay. Bye-bye now.